Okay, guys, welcome back. So somebody made a really good comment, since we're still doing Love Week, and this is hard to feel loved when this happens, about how Loki is being really distant now. And I said that actually happens to every Lokean. I think it happens with every god, to be sure, but it happens to every Lokean, god spouse or not. There are times he's just distant. And sometimes it's because he's moody, to be sure, and he's off in a huff somewhere. You're not going to be able to deal with him. He has, like, say, a bunch of different levels, and this doesn't, like, it's not like each one's progressively worse, but sometimes he's like, you feel he's in the room, but he's in a huff. But he wants you to know he's in a huff, but you're still not going to be able to interact with him. And sometimes I think he does it just to see how many games and toys and gifts and food and everything will pal his feet to win his majesty's pleasure. And it may be. And sometimes he's in the room, but he feels emotionally distant. So he ain't playing with you. He's emotionally distant. He's pulling back for some reason. That is when I know not to engage, because I'm like, okay, he's just kind of like observing me at that point, and it's like he's observing me and he really doesn't know what he thinks of me at that current moment in time. I let him be, because I'm like, okay, I feel like there's some reason I did something, or he just does sometimes pull back and do that. I'm like, okay, I'll let him be. Sometimes I've tried to engage and he just kind of like, it feels like I'm just being stared at with absolutely like zero response. So I'm like, okay. Other times he's so distant you can't feel him. It's like he just up and left. He's not responding. You are making offerings. You are like, Loki, where are you? And you are really trying really super hard to find him. You are even going to other gods, especially in the early days, because where the heck did your deity just go? Whether you're married or you consider him kin or whatever your relationship is. You thought you were really close and he took off and you can't find him anymore. He does this. I don't know why. It's above my pay grade. Um, if you're super duper lucky, one second, guys, terribly sorry, allergies. Terribly sorry. I swear I'm allergic to this mic. If you're extremely, extremely lucky, and this has happened maybe once to me, he will tell you before he goes. He usually does not. He just goes and you can't find him. You go to the other Norse gods or you go to the other gods you work with and nobody knows where he is. He just does this. It's nothing you earned. I can't say that enough. It's nothing you earned. He's not doing this as a punishment. It doesn't mean he doesn't love you. This is the last moment in time you want to go out and find a blog where some woman goes, he never does that to me. Yet, dear, yet. He will eventually, given enough time and enough exposure, yet. And even if he doesn't, well, good for her. For vast majority of us, I think all of our gods take off at times and we just can't find them. As the person said, and it's very important to know, if you were in an emergency, if you truly needed Loki, he would be back in an instant. I think somehow, even when they feel distant to us, they still have some kind of tabs on us. They are still aware of what's going on in our life, but I think sometimes they pull back. I just got right in my head right now. The teacher is always quiet during the test. Take that for what you will. It could have just been a random thought. And also, I have also often got from the gods that even when it feels like they're gone, they're here. And I asked, is that okay to pass it on? And they were like, yes, absolutely. So if you put together the teacher is always quiet during the test, and they are always here when it feels like even they're not, which explains why they're here instantly. Um, they're never really gone. You just lose the ability to feel them. That can come from a lot of things. It feels like I should be including this, even though we discussed it before. Stress. Some of us, when we stress out, we can't communicate, whether we get thoughts or images or communicate through runes or however we communicate, we don't get anything. It can come through illness. If you're really sick, sometimes it doesn't come. It can come through a lot of reasons. Sometimes medication does it, and it doesn't mean that you're crazy in imagining all this. Medication often rewires your body to get rid of illness or to regulate something. Sometimes that can do it. It can happen for a lot of reasons. It might be happening for you for a reason I'm not listing, and it can just happen. It doesn't mean that you're imagining him when you feel him present. It just means that sometimes communication can be cut off, and you can learn at times to cut it off on purpose. Sometimes you're overwhelmed and it feels like you're getting too many gods at once, and it's kind of like you're putting up shields and you're like, I feel you trying to communicate right now and I don't want want you to. Don't worry in the beginning if it's happening and you're not getting communication. You're not deliberately or even mistakenly putting your shields up. You're not. It's something that over the years, you just kind of learn to ignore them, and you're not doing that right away. So if it's only been a year or so, don't worry. You're not like putting up these shields they can't get through. He's a god. They respect the shield. They don't have to. Sometimes they'll just go boink, and the shield's gone, and they're like, "Hey, I really need your attention, so don't worry. Even if you put up all the shields in the world, if a god truly wants through, they'll get through. Don't worry about it. They won't let you do something to the point where you harm yourself." So I hope that one helps. It's not too long. I'm either allergic to this mic or something, but well, it's raining outside, so it's driving my allergies crazy. But he will be he will be with you, whether you feel him or not. And the gods are loyal. And, I know Loki does a lot of stuff like taking off at times and, doing different things. And the gods have, many different ways of acting with us. That almost seems to be a ritual he puts every Lokean through. And, another one is sometimes he'll say something like really mean to you. And he's just lashing out. But there are different ways to experience the gods, and I'm gonna end with this, even though it's a little extra. Um, like if you see all the gods as distinct, you're gonna have one experience. If you see all the gods in a pantheon as one god, and some people do, you're gonna have a completely different experience. If you see all gods everywhere in all time as part of one true god, or aspects of one true god, or the way that one true god's trying to communicate with you, completely different experience. And if you see all and everything as one, including yourself, that's a completely different experience. And I'm not saying any of these are better or worse than the others, they're just completely different experiences. So if you guys like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you later. Bye bye.